I must confess that that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare. Now, I'm not one to lose hope. I keep on hoping. I still have faith in the future. But I've had to analyze many things over the last few years, and I would say over the last few months. I've gone through a lot of soul searching and agonizing moments. And I've come to see that we have many more difficult days ahead, and some of the old optimism was a little superficial, and now it must be tempered with a solid realism. And I think the realistic fact is that we still have a long, long way to go. When a nation becomes obsessed with the guns of war, it loses its social perspective, and programs of social uplift suffer. This is just a fact of history, so that we do face many more difficulties as a result of the war. It's much more difficult to really arouse a conscience during a time of war. There is something about a war like this that makes people insensitive. It dulls the conscience. It strengthens the forces of reaction, and it brings into being bitterness and hatred and violence. I think the biggest problem now is that we got our gains over the last 12 years at bargain rate, so to speak. It didn't cost the nation anything. In fact, it helped the economic side of the nation to integrate lunch counters and public accommodations. It didn't cost the nation anything to get the right to vote established. And now we are confronting issues that cannot be solved without costing the nation billions of dollars. Now, I think this is where we're getting our greatest resistance. They may put it on many other things, but we can't get rid of slums and poverty without it costing the nation something.
Racial injustice is still the black man's burden and the white man's shame. So wherever we live in America, we have to face the fact honestly that racial discrimination is present. So don't get complacent. Certainly we've made some strides. We made some progress here and there. It hasn't been enough. It hasn't been fast enough. And although we've come a long, long way, we still have a long, long way to go. In 1863, the Negro was freed from the bondage of physical slavery through the Emancipation Proclamation signed by Abraham Lincoln. But the Negro was not given any land to make that freedom meaningful. And you know, it was something like having a man in jail for years and years, and then you suddenly discover that this man is innocent. Go to him and say, now you are free. The man been unjustly jailed for 35 or 40 years, and you just put him out of jail saying, now you are free. You don't give him any bus fare to get to town, no money to buy any clothes, no money to get something to eat. This is what happened to the black man in this country. I can't limit my concern to the middle class. I can't limit my concern to this particular situation where a Negro comes and says, I'm the first this. I'm just tired of the first Negro. I want some seconds and some thirds and some more. The civil rights movement has to address itself to this, and the nation has to do it. You see, we are such a rich nation and affluent nation. We often don't see the poor. There are some, you see, most white people can't see the poor because they live in the suburbs. And then they get in town in these big cities on expressways. They don't know nothing about Watts. They've never been there. They don't know anything about Huck and Cleveland or the west side or the south side of Chicago or Holland. They've never seen it. And they allow the poor to become invisible. And a lot of Negroes, you know, who have somehow sailed or floated out of the backwaters or the muddy waters, and they've kind of been able to ease out into the fresh flowing waters of the mainstream, have forgotten the stench of the backwater. I can hear a voice saying that wasn't enough. I was hungry and you fed me not. I was naked and you clothed me not. I needed shelter and you didn't give it to me. I needed a drink of water. And in a while, that's 3/4 water, you made me pay a water bill. America refused to give the Negro any land. Through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today, many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with, and this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
What is good, my people? We are live, back with another live show on the forecast. I'm sorry I haven't been here. You know, I was a little off last week, but you know, I'm trying to get back to it. And before I start, I do gotta shout out my brother. Shout out to my brother Marlo. You know, I don't know what's going on with him. You know what I'm saying? Right now, he's like pretty much in a coma. So you know. Shouts out to my brother, and yeah, so I want to say that first. But yeah, I'm not gonna be on here too long. I know I missed some stuff, so if you know I missed anything, y'all want to come on here and bring some up, I'm gonna put the link in the chat so you can come on. Because I don't intend on being on here too late, but we'll see how I go. So if you wanna I'm good, Melanin, always. Yeah, I don't know why it buffers when I'm on, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, man, I know I missed some stuff, so if you want to come on here and chop it up, you can come on here. And then the call-in number is 804-601-4015. Now, I do want to mention like what's been going on, because you know I called this show Illegal Restitution. And I'm pretty sure y'all seen in the news how, you know, at this point they're just trying to be funny. Right. I appreciate that, Melanin, always. But yeah, I'm pretty sure y'all seen what's going on in the news with good old Joe, like, because he's doing something every couple of days. And, you know, at this point, you know, they're just trying to be funny. You know what I'm saying? They're holding it in our face about how loyal we are to for no good reason, right? The last couple of shows I talked about it, and today I don't know what's going on in your city. We had the election here, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, at what point does it have to get for us to really snap out of it? Now, good old Joe is offering in his reparations, restitution, making amends to the illegal immigrants who came over here by choice. Right now, we're not talking about the black immigrants that was getting whipped at the border and stuff like that, right? Because we like to say people of color, black and brown, all of this kind of unity. But we see what's going on. There ain't no black and brown when it comes to these reparations now, because at first they was going to be on some black and brown when they was talking about reparations, but now it's for little kids getting put in cages because they came over to a country. And I don't really care because it's not up to me. They're talking about these people come over here to replace us. Well, they should be able to replace us, right? Why are we even in a position where we're worried about somebody replacing us in a system designed to destroy us? They can come have our place all day. But yeah, whatever. And talking about they wasn't whipped, but they sure do like to get out there on them horses with whips and swinging it at them. But see, we so blindly gonna follow somebody else, and they're showing you in your face how disrespectful they can be. And instead of people actually owning up to what they did, we got a whole lot of people out here making excuses for what they did. Right? Making excuses for telling us to vote for something that has you have no good reason to. They don't even promise you anything. In fact, they promise you that they're not going to do something for you. But every other group in every other situation, I mean, how does that not stand out to us at this point? At this point, it really got to be a sickness, because we still have people out here defending what he's doing. Well, it's not really reparations. They're trying to make it us versus them. They don't care about us. Nobody cares about us, and nobody's going to care about us until you start caring about us. But how could you do that if you literally making excuses for somebody who, I mean, that's something that a psychopath would do. Put it right in your face to tell you, right? This is what I think of you. They talk about, well, it was child abuse, what they did to those Mexican kids. What about your children? They shoot your children right now down on the internet, on TV, and show it over and over and over. What about your children? Right. Jermaine said, it's up to us to love one another. That's the hard part. We got to be ready to fight and die for what's ours, like everyone else. And the irony is, I don't see how we're not ready to fight and die for something, because we're already dying for nothing. Right? You got out here, everything that you've ever done in this country, you've got killed for doing it. Every single thing. And that includes voting. You got killed for reading. You got killed for speaking your own language. So how hard is it for you to really stand up for what is yours, what's left of what's yours? Because you're dying anyway. So what more do you have to lose? And see, if we would have put half of this energy, instead of blindly pushing each other, talking about vote or die, well, guess what? You vote and you died. Right? You voted for Obama, you still died. How about vote or die for some kind of economic council in our group? How about we go vote for that? If it's really vote or die. Now, see, this is the whole, point. Every single point in America, I don't understand why we are so okay with symbolism stuff. Is it that we are afraid to actually step up and take responsibility for what is ours? Because we can never have freedom until we do. Are you willing to really give your enemy the privilege, the right, the power to control everything you say, to control everything you do? Do you not believe that you should have representation because you're willingly giving your vote away and you're not asking for a thing for it? Because people will say, well, oh, people died for your right to vote. No, they died for representation. Because taxation without representation is dead. And guess where that money for these illegal immigrants is coming from? Out of your tax money. So now you're funding other people's reparations while being ignored about yours. Our capes on, tied so tight that we're going to choke to death on them. We out here caping for every other group. And they will come into your communities and they will be able to get the funding fair that people blame you for, that say it's your fault for having. Yeah, I don't know. YouTube is making me, I don't know. But I know it's definitely YouTube though. But it's you with your capes tied on tight, telling each other, oh, well, we got to go to the polls because quote unquote lesser of two evils. If I was to ask you, name the Democrats that you're voting for, let alone to ask you what their policies are. I'm not even going to ask you how did their policies benefit you, because they told you it's not. Right? It's a psychopathic society and you fighting to be a part, to be involved in it. So now you have put your blood, sweat, and tears for all of these benefits that benefit everybody but you. But guess what? Guess who's giving everybody else the pass though? Because, I mean, I don't even understand why we let white women play both sides of the fence. Right? They do play both sides of the fence. Right? They complain about affirmative action and they benefit the most from it. They are the largest voting bloc, the largest group in America, but call themselves a minority. And you like, yeah, people of color, minorities. You separate, or you try to find reasons to separate yourself because we don't even understand that we are really living in a system of white supremacy. Everybody else puts that first. And everybody else will put you last. Yeah, are we willing to give them that work? We are only willing to give each other that work. That's the whole issue. Why? Because there's no consequences when it comes to us, and everybody else knows that. He said white liberals are the trap. Well, that's the whole thing that we have to understand. Voting Democrat is okay, well, they're gonna lie to you, smile on your face, racism. Republicans out in your face, it is what it is, racism. Right? Because they tell you, oh, look at the last 50 years or 60 years in Democratic cities. Well, before that, it was Jim Crow. So they don't even think about what they're saying. But during Jim Crow, we understood who our enemy was. There was no illusion of inclusion. We talk about Black Wall Street, but Black Wall Street was one place. because their money wasn't good anywhere. So they had to work with each other. And the irony is we have to work with each other right now. What up, Blue? What up, Mariah? Yeah, it's a white savior complex, but that complex is even deeper than that, because that's on one end. On the other end, we look at like a black enemy complex. What's going on, my brother Bakari? And I put the link in the chat for whoever want to come on. I'll put it on again. But time and time again, we got to look at it like the truth is, right? Because people say winter is coming, winter is coming. No, winter is here right now, right? It's cold outside. So now, what are you going to do when it get real? Because I'm realizing all of this stuff around me is going on. A lot of stuff is going down, and it ain't even got nothing to do with a whole sickness pandemic going on. It's just that kind of energy. But are you prepared? Are you prepared for your own children? What'll happen to you if you die? Can your family even bury you? See, we talk about, my mom on me all the time about the insurance thing, insurance. That's why we have to have our own insurance companies, not companies that is designed to take our money away, right? And find every reason and excuse not to give us what they owe us. We're talking about community stuff built from within. Because we got to start looking at it for real. Your mortality, it could happen. It is real. You have to start paying attention. Anything can happen anytime. And if you have children, what are they going to do? See, it's a lot deeper than just that, the police shootings and videos that everybody want to see all the time. That's the thing, because they like to, the KKK is literally an American thing. It's not a Republican, it's not a Democrat thing, it's an American thing. And yeah, and by the way, since we're talking about this illegal restitution, because this is where we can get to it, right? Because Andrew Jackson was a Democrat, but he would be a Republican today. But let's just ignore all of that stuff, right? That destroys their talking points right there, right? Andrew Jackson came in and overturned Special Field Order number 15, where black people were supposed to get land in Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, where they got like 40,000 acres of land. He overturned it and gave it right back to the slave owners, right? And that's where that whole 40 acres and a mule thing comes from. But then you turn around and you look at the Republicans like Abraham Lincoln, right? Who paid reparations to the slave owners, right? In fact, he was willing to pay like billions of dollars, equivalent today, to get them to release slaves. But slavery was so profitable for them, they turned that down, right? Abraham Lincoln was the one who wanted to kick black people out of America because he felt that they would never be equal to white people. Abraham Lincoln is the one who said the Emancipation Proclamation would not apply if you still remain loyal to the Union, meaning that anybody who he would have freed during this Emancipation Proclamation, it wouldn't even matter because they were considered a different country. See, the whole question of America has always been, what are we going to do with these Negroes? That's why every single thing has been meant to cause the confusion. It has been meant to cause division in every step of the way, because special field order came up because, because they how they like to talk about the Union Army. Well, it was the Union Army that left a bunch of helpless women, children, and elderly people to get slaughtered by the Confederate Army. And people were mad about that. So the general, William Sherman, I think, met with the black people from the area, and he asked them, what could we do? How did they feel about emancipation? What could we do? He said, would you want to live amongst white people? They said, no, we want to be given land of our own until we can buy it. And we do not want to mix with, he said, the Southern whites, but it was really all of them, because their racism is so deep that it'll take centuries to overcome. But they don't tell you the real truth about who they were, because it was a Democrat in office when the 13th Amendment passed. It was a Republican president that ended Reconstruction. But they only tell you certain things. They don't tell you how, when in the South, right? Because when the Confederacy was losing, right, one of the main things was for them to take their property. They had like this Confiscation Act or something like that. And when generals in the Union Army were freeing slaves in the South, Abraham Lincoln said that he overruled them and said that they didn't have the power to free anybody because he didn't want to offend anybody who may join the Union. But every step of the way, they found a way not to pay you, because for them to have to do that, they would have to admit, number one, they committed a crime. Number two, they've told themselves that they've done you a favor, right? And then you got too many black people saying, if I was, what's going on, my brother Bakari?
What's up, my man? What's going on?
Not much. Just chilling. I was kind of going on a rant though. Yeah,
I heard you talking. Just tuned in a few minutes ago, I guess, when I first heard you. I heard you talking about the Union Army.
Oh, yeah,
heard,
and it's like really because Joe Biden gave reparations, or talking about reparations for the illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Union Army. You ever heard of the Devil's Punch Bowl?
Oh yeah, definitely.
People talk about the Union Army. The Union Army really wasn't doing nothing in the South. That was during the Civil War, actually. The Devil's Punch Bowl, where they defeated where blacks had defeated the Confederacy in Natchez, Mississippi. The Union Army, the Union military literally stopped fighting the South to go put black people in a concentration camp and starve them to death. It happened in Mississippi, but that was not the Confederacy. That was the Union Army that did that. That was not the Confederacy. But I see somebody put in the chat, say they get Japanese reparations, right? I'm gonna show you something, man. And a lot of people, eventually, hopefully people understand, this country have given to the Japanese, to the Chinese, And you can go on and on and on about who they gave to, right? But all those people remained one thing. They remained Japanese, they remained Chinese, and they remained whoever they were before they came to this country, right? Even though we came here under different circumstances, we are the only people that fight to be American so we can be under them. We are the only people that's searching for a new identity because we don't want to be who our ancestors were. We don't want to say we're African. So, because there were no Americans, in all honesty, there were no Americans enslaved. There were no black, so-called black Americans enslaved in this country. So what have they done to a so-called black American for black Americans to get reparations? In all honesty, when did they become American? Because it's still on paper that you're three-fifths of a human being. See, once you give up who you are to try to be the people that has oppressed you, you give up. We are willing to give up who we really are so we can be something else. So now once you become something else, not saying that you would ever get it, but what I'm saying is those people remained who they were. And one group of people who say they've been asking for reparations forever didn't. They didn't enslave Americans. They enslaved Africans. That's what they enslaved. If you don't believe me, go read their manifest and see how many times they're going to say enslaved black Americans on ships in Mobile, Alabama, Charleston, South Carolina, Boston, Massachusetts, New York, New Orleans, Louisiana. What it's going to say is enslaved Africans. So think about it. If I have beat you down so much to make you want to be me, or if you don't want to be me, you at least don't want to be who you used to be. Why would I give you anything else? You don't want to be who you are. I wouldn't give you nothing. I'm just being honest. Why? We are the only people that keep saying we need an identity. No, we don't. We got an identity. We have an identity. But we're willing to give that identity up, hoping the people that have taken everything from you, just about, because they didn't take everything. Some of our culture we still have. But the people that took your language, they took your name, they took your religion, they took your God, they rape your women, they kill your men, they castrated, they lynched, they did they castrated physically and mental castration. They did all of that. And that's who you want to be next to. So why would I give you something? We have gotten what we have gotten what we wanted. We wanted integration. We got integration. But with one integration, guess what? Guess what? This country has always been integrated. See, that's what people don't understand. When we say integration killed us, integration did kill us. But it didn't kill us when Martin Luther King marched for it. It killed us a long time ago. If you ever watch the slave movie, or if you just think about how that industry was run, and that's what it was, an industry, because we were cargo, right? Our ancestors were cargo. Do you think Massimo and Massa Reynolds were living 500 miles from his slaves, or was he living on the same plantation in the big house? What do you think he was? On that plantation in the big house. What do you think the overseer in the straw bar was? Right out there watching them to make sure they don't do nothing. We were always integrated. And then we integrated, and then we begged, we took a beating to sit on their toilet because their toilet was more comfortable. It was better to dump, and it was better to take a dump in their toilet than it was in ours. It was better to drink their water than it was in ours. It was better for us to say, "Ooh, look how nasty our stuff is and how clean their stuff is." We want them to clean our stuff when we had the ability to clean our own stuff because we was actually cleaning their stuff. But you have been taught to want to be them. So, in all honesty, and I'm just being honest, if I was in charge, what we're getting is what you'll continue to get. We ain't gonna do nothing. As a people, we gonna we gonna we gonna chant, "We shall overcome." That's what we gonna do, and we'll do all that. Won't let no. I forget that one. They used to be out there singing while the people punching them in the face. Ain't gonna let nobody hold them down. Ain't nobody gonna keep me from voting, all of that. So we got what we want. We gave up everything that we had to go shop in their stores. Now we brag on wearing Gucci. Now you brag on wearing somebody else's name, Louis Vuitton. We brag on these things. See, for me, right? I believe in using what can be used. If you're in a position where you can use some of them, use some of them. That's okay. They have used us all these years, right? Is it messed up that illegal immigrants, they're trying to work a plan for them to get $450K a piece? Of course. Is it messed up that they giving Afghan refugees 6.3 billion a piece? Yeah. But watch this. They giving them 450K, trying to work a plan to give those illegal Hispanics 450K. They have worked a plan to give illegal Afghan refugees 6.3 billion. They were beating Haitians at the same border that those Mexicans at, right? Now watch this. But when you hear the people that have a big following on YouTube, the so-called ADOs, the so-called FBA, the so-called Aboriginal, do you ever hear them talk negative about, not saying you have to talk negative about anybody, but do you ever hear them talk negative about illegal immigrants being here, Hispanics, whoever that is at that border about to get that 450K? Do you ever hear them say, "Ooh, they coming here taking our jobs"? Do you ever hear them talking negative about the Arabs who come in here owning the stores? We only talk about ourselves. We're gonna fight one another because we believe in fighting down. And the reason I say we believe in fighting down, because I heard a guy who have over 1 million subscribers, and that's what he said. When you fight, and people amen it. When you fight down. You don't ever fight up. So once we continue to fight down, the only people that we're fighting are us, right? The only people that we're fighting are us. Like, I know Tulsa, Oklahoma. I know Wilmington, North Carolina, right? But I'm gonna show you something. There's 2 places that's here today that's still standing that black people built. The first one, Mount Bayou, Mississippi. The other one, I may be saying the name wrong, but I want to say is Nacogdoches, Kansas, or something like that. If we truly want something, actually, so then we still have the Gullah Geechee Nation in South Carolina and Savannah, but mainly Charleston, South Carolina. So if we're gonna respect our ancestors, we need to respect all of our ancestors, not just the ones who everything they had was torn up, but the ones who built stuff and it's still standing, even though it's not what it once was. So whose responsibility is it to make sure the hospital? I was living when the hospital in Mount Bayou, Mississippi was shut down. I remember how they took their money, but the town is still there. Built in 1875. A hospital built in 1875 lasted until like 1983, 84, 85, somewhere up in there. They just kept doing renovations, of course. The town is still there. A lot of their descendants are still there. Still, nobody never lived in that town but black people. It's still there. I want to say the place is Nacogdoches, Kansas. More than black people is there now. But I'm saying, but it's still here. It's what we're going to do, because they ain't going to give us nothing. I've realized that. I have absolutely realized that. Anything we get, we're going to get it from the mud. We're going to get it from our blood, sweat, and tears. And if we don't stick together, we ain't going to get it, right? With me driving trucks, and just because I'm trying to learn to drive that manual, right? I'm going to show you something, right? The transportation business is wide open right now. And I can say this, because I can say all the negative about black people. But I can say some positive, because you see a lot of black people that's starting to get into the transportation. You see more and more black people getting into trucking. A lot of them have jobs, but they have jobs trucking. But then you also see people getting their own truck. Some people having 2 and 3 trucks, paying people good money to come if you want to work for them, right? So I'm gonna say the positive too. So we need to look at the things that we can do, right? What we can do. Because these people, they ain't trying to give us nothing. Not a damn thing. I ain't gonna say they ain't trying. They ain't giving us nothing. But what they have given us, that's a hard time. I'm gonna read this one comment, then I'm gonna pass the mic. Do you think the fact that Africans sometimes shun us contribute to our identity crisis? Mariah, no, because if that had something to do with our identity crisis, have you ever noticed how some black people from this country shun us? Shit, I was in the military, right? People from down south hung with people from down south. People from the East Coast hung with people from the East Coast. Black people from out west hung with black people from out west. And and we fought one another that way. The South is better. The East is better. Well, people from down south I've heard it all, and I've been there with it. But we want to focus on, because I have a lot of African friends. Way more African people deal with me than shun me, right? You know, have you ever heard them say this forecast when you're dealing with other people that don't speak the language, that sometimes it's a language barrier? You ever heard that?
Yeah.
So if it's a language barrier with Mexicans and everybody else, let's think about it like this. Sometimes it's a language barrier with our brothers and sisters from the continent. They can't always understand us. Some of them can't even speak. Like I can't even speak the language. They, even if they can understand you, they can't talk back because they can't speak it. Like I've met people from Haiti come here, couldn't speak English at all, but they were here. And the only reason I knew that he wasn't shunning me, the couple of Haitians that I met that couldn't speak the language, is because I was friends with their family. And they was like, no, man, he cool. He just don't understand what you're saying. I said, why don't you tell him what the hell I'm saying? He said, I did. That was what we were doing. So he became a translator. But it did seem like he was shunning me, like he didn't want to deal with me because he was from somewhere else. But sometimes it's the language barrier. But I think our biggest problem is, I think for me, our biggest problem is worrying about what other people don't do for us. And when we can look in the mirror, pull our pants up and do what we supposed to do, become grown black men and do what we supposed to do, grown black women and do what we supposed to do, know our role. You understand? That's why when I did my show the other day, the one you say you fell asleep and didn't come on, but that was, we got to know our role, understand role, and perform your duty. And once we understand that and know what our role is, then we begin to perform our duties as a people. Things will get better for us. But as long as we wait on somebody else, the people that put us in this position to make things better for us, my great grandkids gonna be saying the same thing. They're gonna be on something else. It won't be called YouTube. I don't have no idea what it'll be called. They're gonna be out in space somewhere, like, they done brought us to Mars and look how bad they treat us. It's the same thing they did to our people on Earth. But we got to change it because they're not going to change. We too focused. And I'm not saying me and you and the people in the chat, but I'm talking about black people as a whole. We are too focused on trying to change other people. Trying to change other people. When the people we need to change is us. Change our mentality, change the things that we do, know what we want, and we go for it. That's why I'm telling you, I'm gonna pass the mic. Go ahead, my man. I've been talking and rambling for a minute. Go ahead.
Oh no, you good, my brother. You good. And yeah, cause like I'm a piggyback off what you said. When you said we need to change ourselves. Like really, first we need to change I need to change myself personally. You know what I'm saying? Each one of us need to change ourselves personally and tighten up on the things that we need to do. Because we talk about a language barrier, but if you look in the hood, and most of the people, like, not even to take it the wrong way, because the hood get like a bad reputation. There's only a small few. Most of the people is good people going to work, doing what they have to do. But it's a language barrier even in the same hood. When people are sitting here arguing with each other, there's no reason why we shouldn't have like taken the circumstances that we were in and flipped it on them. You know what I'm saying? Okay, they put all us in in the projects, you know, and we got to understand how they did that by using, it wasn't just using destroying our cities like they did Rosewood and Black Wall Street. They used the Highway Act where took they built highways right through the Black community where there was most prosperous and built projects on the side. But instead of us actually taking, even if we were in that situation, instead of us working together to build what we have to build in our own communities, right? We sat there and argued with each other. We sat there and fought each other, said, no, this is my block. This is my block. But at the same time, I do understand, because when you have a certain level of hunger, a certain level of poverty, then you're going to resort to basic natural instincts when it comes down to I'm going to eat. But then all of a sudden, those basic natural instincts go out the window if somebody comes with a badge, or even just with white skin comes into that community. So it's really, what kind of mindset is it about? You know what I'm saying? Because if we would have put that money together, right, while we was in those environments, then we could have built our own store just for that we all support. But no, we let somebody else come in, another group who may get reparations like $6.3 billion, and then come in and put stuff in our neighborhoods that they wouldn't even sell in their own neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? Most of the stuff goes against their own religion. So that's how you know that they're full of it. But all of that, you know, it comes from a mentality of a language barrier, and it's really a self-hate barrier. And that starts with yourself, you know what I'm saying? Because we know we speak the same language. We know we are in the same situation, but we've been taught that we suffer from, like, we will fail the black dog test. Too many of us will fail the black dog test. So we're going to fight about where we come from. We're going to fight about what we look like. We're going to fight about what we call ourselves, but we're not going to fight the enemy. We fought to be a part of a system. And it's my theory that integration was their counter move to the Black Power movement that was happening, because they was trying to get equal funding, not integrate into schools. It was NAACP, a Jewish organization. It was Thurgood Marshall, not to throw him under the bus, but they said the only way that you could be equal in this society is to have the same connects as a white person would have going to Harvard. But if we were going to a black school, we wouldn't have the same connects. But that in itself shows that you don't have enough self-pride, self-love, and trust in your own people, which would be saying the same thing about yourself, to feel like my brother is the connect that I need. No, you have to have a connect from somebody else who really got it off of, you know, blood, sweat, blood and destruction and all of that kind of stuff. And we know they're not going to do it to us. So why is there still so many of our elders, so many of our people still pushing us to vote a certain way, still pushing us to move a certain way without asking a single question? Because the minute you start asking questions, then you become a problem. And the minute that you become a problem, you can get blacklisted at any time. But yeah, my brother, you can go ahead.
Yeah, they do the whitelist all the time. I say whitelisted because we ain't got no power.
Yeah, whitelist, yeah.
They do yeah, they can whitelist us at any time. Right? When you were talking about the projects, I'm gonna show you something else, and you said they built highways right through black neighborhoods, right? Have you ever noticed in every project that the interstate is, and you go in a city, there's the interstate right around the projects? The project is always close to to the major highway running through your city.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's part. You can't do nothing. That's to keep you blocked in. Like when you do a march. Okay, I ain't gonna say a march, a protest, right? When they kill Rayshard Brooks here, right? Me and my son, we went to the protest. My youngest son, right? I wanted to go down there. I went down there. Of course, I got into it with the police. Of course, uh, I had my shit. I always carry my guns on me, right? So, but anyway, have you ever noticed when they do a protest and a lot of black people out, have the police come and they have a lot of cars and they basically block you in and make sure you go nowhere else? And the interstates are so crowded. People could, it was literally taking people 2, 3 hours to get 1 mile to the interstate. And the reason being, right, they come block you in. You know why they block you in? Because they don't want you to get so angry where you might leave your neighborhood in which you live and go to their neighborhood and tear some stuff up. That's why they block you in. They're okay with you making your stuff raggedy. So then in comes gentrification. See, this is my thing. This is what I tell people. And this is what I believe. There's no need to tear down any stores when you're protesting. Now, if you choose to do it, right? I'm not saying nothing wrong with doing it, right? But if you truly want them out your neighborhood without burning stuff down in your neighborhood, making them richer because they got insurance on all that stuff, right? Why don't we have the discipline to say, we just not going? If we don't want them here, just don't go. If they don't want that Wendy's there, just don't go. That's all we have to do. All we have to do is stop going. Why aren't we that mad? See, think about it, right? Let's say hypothetically, American born Africans get reparations, right? Think about it, right? What are they going to do? Who are we going to give it to? We don't have discipline enough when we don't have money not to go to these people. So what are we going to do when we get it? Now, people have the right to do whatever the hell they want to do with their money. But I'm just saying, think about it. If we're not trying to build anything now, if we're not willing to put out pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, dollars together to build something now, what make us think we'll do something just because we all of a sudden got $300,000? Let's say hypothetically, $300,000. Huh? What we gonna do? What are we? Just be honest. What will we do with that $300,000? How many people in here go out of their way? Go to my channel. You will see black businesses over and over and over that I support, I talk to on my channel, and they support me. But how many of us go out of our way to find black-owned businesses? In all honesty, how many? I can show you Chinese-owned soul food spots here in Atlanta Metro, and it's full with black people. Somebody asked me to meet them over there one day. A lady I was cool with, I used to date, asked me to meet her, come meet me at this restaurant. I had never been there. That's when I found out what it was. I'm like, shit, who back here cooking? They let you see a couple of black people, but then after you see us, the only thing that was edible was rice. I'm like, why did you ask me to meet you here? How can somebody take our culture and sell it back to us? Just think about that. They like to say, ooh, or we give our culture away, because I don't think nobody is taking it. Why do we give our culture to people so they can sell it back to us? And we go buy it proudly. Like when they did that fake, it wasn't fake because people went out there, but I don't know why. But the 2015 Million Man March, right? Did you see the white guy out there selling red, black, and green flags to all those black people? And those black people in line waiting to buy red, black, and green flag? Did you see that? Who fault is that? That's our fault that that white guy can sell us a flag created for us, created by a black, because in this country we couldn't wave the American flag. They had a song. Everybody got a flag except the coon. Everybody had a flag except us. So we created a flag that's going to represent us. Represent us globally. Red, black, and green. Red for the blood, black for the people, green for the land. Green to represent Africa, the land, the resources, the money, everything, right? You understand? So the biggest goal is once we look at ourselves, right? Once we look inside of ourselves to see what we are going to do and what we need to do, and literally start to work. But first, you have to want to accept the problem. First, we have to accept it because we recognize it, but we have to accept the fact that, you know what, we can do better than this as a people. We can do better than this. And of course, it's not going to be everybody before somebody say everybody ain't going to be a part. I ain't talking about every single black person because we know every single black person ain't going to be a part, right? Every single black person don't want what we want. Some of them, they're extremely happy right here in this system. That's why they love this country so much. Or they're faking like they're happy. And they loving the country, hoping, the country eventually look out for them. But we going to have to look at us and take notice and recognize the problems that we have as a people. Work on our problems, build ourselves up. And once we do that, that's when I'm going to continue to say it. And once we do that, things are going to get better for us, right? I hear people, one of the biggest things people talk about, right? Especially on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Look at the state of hip hop today. I don't really listen to this rap music they do today. I don't understand what the hell they saying, right? But that's all of our culture, hip hop. So what they're doing in hip hop is messing us up. Yes, this hip hop can hip hop be influential? Yes, it can be influential, but it shouldn't have as much influence over us as it do. And that come from our broken families. Man and a woman ain't together no more. Where everything can have an influence over you. Too many single mothers or baby mamas is what we have. And it take two people. So I'm not blaming no single mother or the baby mama, because it take two people to make a man and a woman to make that baby. Right? That's something we have to work on. But we're gonna point the finger and say, oh, it's the woman's fault that's fighting down. So then the woman gonna say, no, it's the black man's fault. Still fighting down. Because we grinding from the bottom and stay at the bottom. The two people at the bottom is constantly fighting each other. So I can have more space on the bottom than you. If I can eliminate you, now I have the whole bottom by myself. But that shouldn't be our goal, is to create bottom space for ourselves. Our goal should be to build a ladder so we can climb up. Start building that ladder now. So our next generations and generations and generations not only see the hard work that we put in, but can benefit from the hard work that we put in. My take on it. I yield the mic.
Yeah, definitely, bro. I agree with what you were saying. And let me say this, about reparations, and yeah, there will be a lot of people that would get, Cadillacs and whatever it is that they want to get, but we will also be able to, like that sister that has the gun manufacturing thing you're trying to help, we will be able to help her. You know what I'm saying? We will be able to create our own businesses. But what I will say is, like, as far as like reparations, we have to stop thinking like, oh, and I'm not talking about you or anybody, but I'm just saying, like, because for the most part, people just look at that as it's just money or whatever. But a part of reparations is us not paying taxes to this thing, like us keeping our tax money to ourselves, right? Because look at where our tax money is going. It's going to our death and destruction, when we could easily be putting our own tax money into building our own economic stuff, to building our own schools. Because we look at what's going on ever since assimilating into their society. Our schools are not integrated. It's like probably like two or three white people in the black schools, two or three black people in the white schools. But I can tell you, I went to Richmond public schools. Our school books were old, missing pages. You know what I'm saying? 10 years old. They didn't have the modern president in them. You know what I'm saying? It's we definitely need to start concentrating our money into ourselves, and as a whole, we definitely need to start looking at it as just a bigger thing. But of course, they're not just going to give it to you. That's something that you have to take. And you mentioned our culture, and you know our culture has got to change in order for that to happen. Now, a culture is really supposed to be for your safety, your protection. Is supposed to be able to feed you, clothe you, to be able to build a healthy society, right? But we've let somebody else dictate what our culture is. So now we think our culture is rap and basketball. And then on top of that, we let somebody take that culture that we said we created and then sell it back to us, like you was just saying. But not only just sell it back to us, but water it down. So it's no more F the police. Now it's pregnant rappers. You know what I'm saying? I haven't listened to the radio in years, you know, but that's what it is. But a part of your culture is how you treat each other, is how you treat your women. If you treat your women with respect, how do you treat single mothers in your community? All of that is a part of a culture. You know what I'm saying? As far as being the single mother issue in the first place. But that's why we need to start addressing the mental health problems in our community. We have so many problems with relationships and all of this kind of stuff because we're trying to, on one hand, look at life through the lens of a European. We've been Europeanized, but on the other hand, we have our own identity that we run from. But you know what I'm saying? We run from it, but we can't get away from it. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to develop a sense of, because like I always say, white supremacy is defined by black inferiority, and they cannot be white supremacists if you don't accept the black inferiority thing. That's how you destroy the whole thing in itself. You know what I'm saying? But we don't take the time to address the problems that's in our community. All we do is let the issues go down from generation to generation, and at some point, one of us has got to be the generation that says, okay, is enough, is done with me. And like you said, all of these communities I like live here, you know, like Maggie L. Walker and all of them, they had a booming, business area for the black community up until they built these highways right through the middle of it. That was the whole point. That's why the projects is always on the side, because most times that's where the economic central of that city was for the black district. But they've always seen it's always been mostly an economic warfare. When they talk about these white women lying, they knew they was lying. It was about the money. They was like, how this nigga got a piano in his house and I don't? You know what I'm saying? And again, I agree. Like, we don't have to be citizens because, you know, according to the Dred Scott case, which has not been overturned, you know what I'm saying? Nobody can tell me where it's overturned. You're still 3/5 in the Constitution, which is the land of the law in America, right? But illegal immigrants are, you know, illegal immigrants are not American citizens, but they are still paying them restitution. But that's for a specific reason. And on top of that, they're not paying you for a specific reason. Slavery is not illegal. In America, it's still not illegal to this very day, but kidnapping is illegal. You know what I'm saying? And it don't matter where you come from. And you know, they said the first thing they say is, what about black on black crime? You know, but I mean, that's called projection. You know, that's what they do. You know, they have to make it seem like that's why they say, oh, black people are homophobic. Black people are anti-Semitic. Black people are this, black people are that, because they have to find a way to equalize what they have done without realizing that nobody has that kind of mindset to go around castrating other people. You know what I'm saying? Because if it's one thing that we cannot get our people to get on, it is not treating other people better than you treat yourself. You know what I'm saying? So, and it cannot be out of love, because how could you love somebody else if you don't even love yourself enough first? But we are so busy to cape for every single person. We will find way more people to cape for Joe Biden right now than we would for Ice Cube. You know, we would find way more people to cape for Mexicans than we would for Haitians. You know, that's just a sick mentality. But until we start addressing that mentality, we're gonna have problems in our relationships, in our homes. But when you have a problem in your home and you don't have a healthy figure to look up to, how could you know who to follow? That's why you keep looking up to people who is getting over on you, who is toxic, who is this and that, because you are drawn to what you see. We underestimate the energies that, you know, is produced in our community, but we have to literally take the time to get back to the basics. And you talked about, you know, the boycotting, you know, like we could go to an Asian store right now, right, and say you got 24 hours to leave, and not even be on no gangster stuff. But we're not gonna let nobody shop in this store if you don't leave within 24 hours. Or you can get on some gangster stuff if that's what you want to do, but you're probably not gonna do that unless it's another black person, because it's that fear that's been beaten into us, and that's really at the end of the day what it is, that fear. Now, all right, Blue. Yeah, I was about to say, Blue, if you want to come on, then Bakari, you could take as long as you want. What's up, Blue?
Okay, hey, what's up, y'all? How you doing? Coming on the live today or tonight. You know, I've been super busy, but I was listening and I said I'll come on in for a little bit. And what's up, Bakari? Y'all always, you know, telling us what we need to hear. And it's it's really us doing this to kind of put the thought in our heads and try to get us to actually get more passion behind it, because time is not going to wait on, you know, no one. It's steady ticking, like it's about to be a whole nother year. You know, we done been through 2 years of the biggest, you know, pandemic in the world, and just noticing, you know, what's going on around you, and so many changes, and so many distractions, and so many things being put in front of us to again distract us, um, and keep us more distant from each other. And it would be great, you know, if we could get reparations, that's owed to us. You know, that you have to look at it like that. You know, you are entitled to reparations based on the history of that, of what has happened and what happened to your relatives. You know, don't overlook the fact that you have been, in your race as a whole, you know, have been battered and beaten, and everything, the worst things have been done to us. You know, you have to have some type of heart for the people that came here before you. um the TV's down, but when you think about, if you look at Dateline, you know, those stories that show, you know, wanted people, I forgot what the other ones are called, but they be talking about stories that are years and years old. You know, I remember seeing one that was back in the 1980s. They still hunting down somebody that done raped somebody or something like that, killed somebody. Like, why don't we have a show like that, you know, where we're actively looking for the murderers and the rapists, and the looters that did what they did in so many different mass events over history that's actually documented? Why aren't we looking for those people? You know, Emmett Till's murderers, or I know at least one of them is still alive and still out walking. You know, why is it taking so long? His mom that died not too long ago, she was still fighting for justice for her son. That's why they're coming out with a movie about Emmett Till, that who's playing in it? Whoopi Goldberg will be starring in. Um, Pretty much, yeah. The mom was fighting for justice up until recently, and she passed. Couldn't see, you know, justice for her son up until today. You know, that's really hurtful to know that no one is interested in getting those people, you know, the thing what they deserve. They should be reprimanded. That boggles me on why we have a whole TV shows, a bunch of different TV shows on so many different thieves, killers, and rapists, but we don't have one that's zoomed in and focused on uh, racism, because everyone knows it exists. Everyone walking this earth knows it exists. These people need to be reprimanded. And it's who whatever group, who's ever into film, who's ever into reporting, like if you listen, that's something to definitely zoom in on, because no one's doing it. Um, anyways, that really gets me angry. And if we can, the reason why we talk about business a lot and trying to, get together to actually build, is because if we can get our money right, everything else will pretty much fall in line. When you think about why you can't focus on other things in your current situation, it's because of money. It's because of having so many obligations. And you might be the breadwinner, you might be the person that manages everything, and just being tied up. If you had enough money, I'm sure you'd be able to focus in on other things. So if we can get things together in that way first, everything will pretty much fall in place. We'll be able to seek the proper mental health that we really need to make generational changes, and then when you think about the pledge here, it's like you could put your money in a bank account, in a savings account, which you won't get much interest on each year. You won't really gain much back. Probably get under $5 per year, um, and you have no ownership. You know, we simply have a platform or a blueprint to actually gain ownership. Within a year, see returns without having to do much, because with us all working together, it actually levels out the amount of work or input that's needed. you know when you got more in quantity, things are just easier. And that's why so many other people are able to get things done, other races, because they come together, they work together, they see that there's a bigger goal. We so living in the now, in the present, that we want it now. If we don't see it now, we don't see it. We can't imagine or vision that future, that roadmap to get there, because unfortunately we probably ain't been there or know too many people that been there, so it almost seems impossible, but it's really not. Okay, it's really not. I like I said, have been an entrepreneur for years, and seen so many different ways to make money. It won't be hard for us to come together if it's more people. The more, the better, the easier. And definitely ready to move some things forward with. I'll talk to y'all, with the website update, and letting y'all get a chance to see, um, and making sure everything's good. Then we'll have a website that we can all actually start visiting. But with the whole Black pages, or which would be our directory, how you got the yellow pages, the white pages, we will have our own page where we can find all of the local Black owned businesses. So that way it won't be that hard to find, your people and go and support them, because boycotting is serious. When you think about it, how many times you visit a 7-Eleven or visit a gas station, in one week, and how much money you spent with them. That money, slowly but surely, and the most of us doing it, multiples of us doing it, will see change very, very soon. But it just takes you putting in that effort. You have got to take the time to say, hold up, let me search my local Black owned businesses. And if you get to that business and there's some things that you notice that could be better, point it out to them. We got to help each other succeed. Don't go in and talk about them. Oh, I'm leaving this, them a bad review and da da da. Like, no, we can't do that to our people. We have to be willing to point things out and help each other so we can build and grow. Okay? Don't be so quick to tear each other down. We all making mistakes. We're all in this learning. Unfortunately, we've just been so disconnected that we just look at each other as enemies. But if you remember that photo that Bakari got a chance to put up about the ants. You know, you had red ants and black ants all in one bottle. They was peacefully with each other. And then somebody came and shook the jar. Then they started fighting with each other. The black ants thought it was the red ants that did it, and the red ants thought it was the black ants. So they fighting with each other, killing each other. Meanwhile, it's the person that shook the jar who was the enemy. You know, it's no way we was born into this as, you know, enemies and so distant from each other. So whether it take whatever it takes for you to for your eyes to open, do that. Whether you need to look into history, whether you need to look into what has happened with the other races, what was done to your people, whatever it takes for you to open your eyes, you know, take the time to do that. You know, if you watch TV, watch some educational things, you know, to try to help feed your brain. You know, feed your brain the right things, because watching too much TV is creating a whole nother world. It's a whole nother illusion. You know, when you go as far as changing your body, you are creating a illusion, something completely fake, and it's no telling what else you're willing to accept at that point. Um, you know, get your mental health right and stop letting, you know, just believe in anything. You got to look into things a little bit deeper than what somebody just tells you. And I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic.
All right, thank you, Blue. Bukar.
Yeah, you know what? You do have to look deeper into what people have told us. And once we look deeper, and that's still for me, I'm gonna continue to say it. We look deep into what people have told us, then we look deeper into ourselves. What we're talking about can be done. And what we're talking about doing is it was done with our people did it before. Think about it. They did it before with less. And I know today we just feel like we're absolutely included. But what I'm saying is we are today, we're supposedly more educated, but that's back to forecast Richmond City schools, how they didn't have the books. Shit, I remember one year in Atlanta school district, man, it was book. They didn't have books for 3 subjects for the whole first semester. By the second semester, I think they got books for one of those books. So they just passed kids in those classes because they have no choice. They had no they had no books. So we're supposed to be more educated, right? We're supposed to have more money. So why don't we do the same thing? Why don't we do the same thing? Right? Everything here is the same thing over and over and over. Like when Blue said talking about the black pages just now, right? That is something that we absolutely need. We have to put them out there. We have to put our businesses out there. And like I always say, once we put our businesses out there, we have to let the business know. Now we're supporting y'all. Now y'all have a responsibility to the people that is supporting y'all, right? And when it comes to the boycotts and the marches or whatever, we don't even have to scream it. We can just be quiet about it. We can
Right.
be we can be quiet about it. Just don't spend your money with them. That's easy. It's
Hmm.
easy, but we look for. See, like one guy told me, man, we got to be able to give our people options. I said, dude, I just told you 5 gas stations. Man, they're too far. I said, so you don't want options? You want to give people your money who don't like you? Then you want to go stand for those people, right? Y'all see construction in y'all city. How many black people do y'all see working on those construction sites, driving their heavy equipment, huh? Driving those dozers, the mini excavators, the big excavators. Or when you see them putting up those tall buildings, skyscrapers, right? I don't even know what that big ass equipment is called. But how many, I forget the name of them, but how many black people do y'all see driving those? Not many. Not many. It's not, contrary to popular belief, it's not African people from other countries that's coming here and replacing black people. They're not even replacing us anymore. We have been replaced. Do y'all remember Jim Crow Joe told those black people, Al Sharpton and all them, that we gonna have to start looking to work with the Hispanic community? Do y'all remember that? They don't need us no more. They need our stupidity. But as a people, they don't need us because they know regardless of what they do, we still gonna give them our money. We gonna give them our energy. We gonna give them our time. We gonna give them everything because when we talk, right before I turned the forecast, I was listening to this other guy, right? Forecast mentioned Black Wall Street. This other guy mentioned Black Wall Street, but they mentioned it in two different ways. When he mentioned it, every time we try to build something, they tear it down. So what we gonna try to build something for? So as long as they got you in that mindset thinking that there's nothing you can do, because they're going to come tear it down, you will never do nothing. You will never do nothing. And like you said, forecast, when you said reparations, we shouldn't be paying taxes. You're right. We shouldn't be paying to go to college. We shouldn't be paying for no health. We shouldn't be paying for none of shit. In all honesty, we shouldn't be paying for housing. We shouldn't be paying for none of that. Nothing, in all honesty. But they have us in this predicament. And we've accepted the fact that we are Captain Black America now. So when you're Captain Black America, you do what Major Black America do because you want to be like them. You want to be like them. People look and people ask me, man, why you, when I dress, I don't wear nobody. The only name I have on, or you see somebody else's name, is my shoes. And the only reason is because I have bad feet. And I went and bought me some $15 shoes, and my God, they hurt they were so horrible. I couldn't walk in them. I bought me some to go running. They hurt to go walking in them, go running in them. They were hurting to just wear around. So I had to buy me some decent shoes, but I go get the shoes from what we would call when I was growing up the grab table. I buy my shoes from like Ross and Marshall. But I don't wear these people name. I do everything in my power not to wear. Of course, somebody made the clothes that I have on, but ain't nobody gonna see it. Ain't nobody gonna see that name. We have to get to a point where we respect us and love us, respect and love ourselves, and stop thinking of reasons to go against one another. Even when I mentioned the military, man, that was big in the military. Everybody from down south hung together. That was big, man. We had beef for no reason. Then you look like, why we got beef? Because people from New York been told, people from the East Coast been told they were better, right? So people from down south got to stand for themselves. Then the people from West Coast, oh, ain't no racism out west. I'm like, damn, what was Rodney King? You know, then the people from Virginia, man, y'all were a little confused. Some of y'all say y'all from down south. The other ones say they from up from the East Coast. So we never knew what we was gonna get with the people from North Carolina and Virginia. But the point that I'm making is how we fought one another. We had, now, and I'm saying we, shit, I had a lot of friends I had friends from everywhere. It didn't bother me where you were from. You were black, we cool. Until you showed me that we're not cool. But overall, it was always, even me in the debates, not fighting, but even me in the debates, we're always debating, protecting ourselves. Now, that same energy is going toward people like Sister Raw, who would be considered an African Jamaican, right? Or people like, I had somebody tell me I shouldn't deal with my grandson and his mother because she's from Haiti. So he's Haitian. and he can't be a dose. I'm like, what the hell is wrong? How would you tell me don't deal with, man? Who the hell? How would you tell me? How can you fix your mouth to tell me don't deal with my grandson? Because he would be considered Haitian. I say, my grandson is black. He's African. That's what I see him as. But I literally had people tell me that. So I asked them, should I deal with my own kids? Because their mother, they have roots from Trinidad. So, but what we're doing now, we're looking to fight. And like I say, we're fighting at the bottom so we can have more space at the bottom for ourselves. We want to control the bottom because we're scared to go up top. And the only way we're going to go up top is the ones like us who are literally trying to go somewhere and trying to build something for the future. Like me, y'all much younger than me. And I hear people say, folks from my generation, something wrong. We did. But that's why I don't mind working with y'all and dealing with y'all. I don't care about y'all being younger than me. Good ideas, I can roll with it. I'm not one of the people, can't nobody make me fight a generation that's younger than me or the generation older than me because I'm better than that. Because I know regardless of what, we need each other. Regardless of what, we need each other. We need each other globally. And the ones that don't want to be a part, forget them. I ain't gonna worry about you once we build it. Like forecasts always say, if we build it, they will come. And that's what we're doing now. We are building it. But I'm gonna listen offline and probably fall asleep because I got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, man. I got to go drive this truck, man.
Oh yeah. I appreciate you coming
uh,
on. I'm about to close out anyway.
I thank you for letting me come on. It was good being on the panel with you, Blue. Uh,
Always.
yeah, man. Like I said, oh yeah, forecast. When we were talking about your CDL, shit, you can drive dump trucks and you ain't got to go nowhere. But that's what I'm working on now. I had to take me a job driving manuals because I'm about to get me a dump truck and the automatic is going to be a little bit too expensive. And I didn't know how to drive. So I had to take a job so I could teach myself how to drive.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't know how to drive because I got to get a manual. But look, man, I'm going to listen offline. I sure appreciate you for letting me on. And peace to everybody in the chat. I thank y'all for listening. If I said something to offend somebody, I didn't mean to. And by the way, I'm Brother Bakari. If you hadn't heard of me, you heard of me now. Go check out my channel. I'm going to be going live tomorrow too. So I'll shoot you the text and let you know what it's going to be, but let y'all know what it's going to be about. All right.
Yeah, that'll work.
All right.
All right. Peace.
Have
One
a good
love.
night.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Bakari. And Blue, let me say this, and then I'm gonna let you close out too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Bakari said, I hope I didn't offend nobody. I kind of hope I did offend somebody, but even though I ain't even go that hard, but I say this, because he mentioned that we worried about being replaced. I mean, we should be replaced. Why would we want to be a part of some system like this anyway? You know what I'm saying? Why are we fighting to be in a system that was designed off of our destruction, and then we're worrying about being replaced? To me, that's a sickness in itself. Why aren't we worrying about building our own stuff to replace the stuff that we have lost? You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna be real, like I would rather for the world, because it looked like it's coming to that, but I would rather for the whole world to be destroyed than for the system to stay the way it is, for life to stay the way it is. People always be like, that's just how life is. That's just the way it goes. That's not how life is. This is not natural. And I don't understand how we're not mad enough to do something about it. And like I said at the beginning of the show, I got to shout out my brother Marlo, because he is in the hospital right now in like a coma. Hopefully he's not like brain dead or nothing. So I got to shout out to my brother. But at the same time, like, look at the position that we're in. What are you going to do if something happens to you? If you have children, how are they going to bury you? How is your family going to bury you? We don't even talk about the basics in our community. We're so worried about, like my brother Bakari said, the name brands and what we're going to spend and what we're going to do. But we have to take the time to understand that life is more than that. Life is serious, because we make it spooky. We act like, because my brother mentioned, oh, well, if they're going to burn it down, what are they going to do? They've already done it. What else can they do to you? I'm more afraid not to do something than to sit here and do nothing, because they've already done any and everything that they've wanted to do to us. Right? They can pull us over right now, and you have your children in the car, and they can violate you, and you can't do nothing but sit there with your head down. We see people like George Floyd getting choked out in the middle of the street, and you got 20 people with cameras instead of somebody going over there and getting the cop up off of him, because we don't have the courage to really stand up for ourselves. Because if you did, right, if you had enough self-love for yourself, you would have that love for your brother, for your sister. But we look for every single reason to argue with each other. We look for reasons. We have the gender war, the age war, the colorism war, but we have everything but the white supremacist war. Too many of us have accepted the ways of the Englishman. And we felt like the only way to get along is to put our head down and keep our eyes to the ground, and maybe we'll survive. That kind of mentality, we have got to stop passing that down. That survival mentality. No, we want to live. We have to understand how great we are. We don't even realize we are the only group in America that has pulled itself up by our bootstraps, because every other group has gotten reparations. The white middle class was built off reparations. Jewish people get reparations. Asian people get reparations. They're trying to give more reparations to illegal immigrants. But here we are talking about black and brown, black and Asian, black and this, black and that, everything but black in ourselves. Holding ourselves down. Because at the end of the day, we are all we got. We don't need nobody else. You see people complaining all the time, but if you build a society, you can't get somebody to follow you if you cannot feed them. We see what happened in Afghanistan, right? Of course, they're going to label them as terrorists, but they were willing to stand up and fight a bigger government than them. Your people here and everywhere you go, they were willing to fight the bigger army, because it's not about the bigger army, it's about the mentality. You got to understand, they had the guns, they had this, they had that, but they had to use deceptions and lies, like they did with Toussaint. They used his desire to be a Frenchman. All right, hold on, Blue. I'm gonna put it in there so you can close out. They had to use his desire to be a Frenchman against them, because their weapons, all of that stuff, didn't exist. Right, but of course, don't listen to real life. He ain't nothing but a troll. But of course, they're gonna have to justify the stuff that they do to you, because if they were ever to admit guilt, right, they would have to pay for what they have done. But when you tell yourself a lie over and over and over, not only do you believe your lie, we start believing their lies. We start buying into this black inferiority complex. We think that we aren't enough to get by, as if my sister isn't a good enough connect for me, as if my brother isn't a good enough connect for me. And then we leave our children in debt. We leave our children with nothing to build. It's up to us to get us to the point where our next generation doesn't have to fight as hard. The generations before us did what they had to do. Now it's time for us to do what we have to do. We have to realize how simple mindsets are changed generationally, because children right now have to wear masks to school. That's all they ever know. And that's all they'll ever know. A whole generation has changed that simple. But we make it so spooky. We look for something to crack the sky to come and save us. I'm tired of black people saying, oh, look at the condition we're in. Look at the situation we're in when we can just snap our fingers and do what we have to do. First is just changing your particular mindset. First is building healthy relationships with each other. Because if you have a healthy home, a strong marriage, then you build a strong family. And strong families build strong neighborhoods, which build strong communities, which build strong nations. And until you have a nation or an army to protect you, then the same thing is going to continue to happen. But at the end of the day, we are all we got. So, Blue, I'm gonna let you go ahead and close out and say everything you got to say and plug all the stuff that you want to plug.
Yeah, I mean, you could have kept going. You know, he's definitely saying what people need to hear, um, and I hope it's motivational and encouraging because that's what it's for. You know, it's meant to kind of pick you up, you know, from whatever state of mind or being you're in, because we kind of we slouching, you know. It's a lot of people pushing, and that's great to see, you know, but it's more so the unity part, you know, that we kind of need to click in with each other to network, you know. That's just how the growth is going to happen, quicker, faster, and easier. You know, don't be scared to give each other, you know, insight. Um, can't that whole jealousy and you know, I'm not sharing information, like, you know, great information that someone else could benefit from, that you benefited from. Share those things. You know, the I don't even know what to call them, but the Chinese, Japanese culture, they do very well with that. There could be something that comes out, whatever discount. They will massively. I don't know. I think they got a group chat with each other, you know, where they massively share that. I watched it happen, and I'm like, oh my God, wow, look how these people connect with each other to make sure they get a discount, you know, to save money. You know, those are things, those are, you know, ways that we should kind of like adapt more with each other. You know, we can't be scared if one person, you know, gets ahead of you, or um, be intimidated about by what they may be able to do. It's really, it's not good to live like that, especially if you want to see us grow as a race, because there's already other people you're competing against that don't care about you, or that's not going to share with you either. So I just wish the jealousy is kind of left at the front door, and being judgmental towards each other. You know, we have to let that go, um, because of the way someone dressed. You know, to judge someone based on that, whether they, you know, got what you want, or, you know, you can't get what you, that all just, that's got to stop, because that's causing a lot of chaos in the communities, and a lot of separation. We need more brotherhood, sisterhood. That's how we build together. That's how we will be able to network with each other, um, and stop being so jealous and intimidated of each other. All right. Um, I will point out, as far as trying to build the blacklist, having anyone that has a business, you know, no matter what stage you're in and starting, it would be okay to add you into that list. So that way anyone local or what have you can locate you and be able to place an order with you. You know, so anyone that has a business, just send over the information. Um, the email that you can send it to is the same one that we use for anyone that wants to reach out to participate or volunteer. Is the B1, so THE, B like boy, the number one, list, LIST, at gmail.com. You can send your business information there, all the details, you know, and ways to reach you. Because I'll be building that list and having it available in every which way the white and yellow pages come in. And I could definitely also direct you um, with working from home. You could text me at 804-250-1049 and just reach out to me with your name and that you're interested in working from home. Uh, I'm going to be short on here tonight. Peace and love to everyone. I definitely hope you get your mental right, get your thoughts in order, stay on top of your kids because they are the future. What you mold into them now is what they're gonna do, or what they will have instilled in them as adults. So that it's very important the things you decide to show them and teach them while it's early. All right. Peace and love. Y'all have a good night. Thanks, Cass.
All right, yeah. Thank you, Blue, for coming on, and thank y'all for Bakari for coming on. Thank y'all for listening. And like BJ Hollywood said, let's become one unit by any means necessary. But let's not make it so spooky. Let's take it one step at a time. Anybody who's leading you outside of yourself, then don't listen to them. You are all that you need. The Black Messiah is not a person, is not a particular thing. The Black Messiah is Black unity. It's all of us working together because we all have specific talents. We all have specific things that we are good at. We have our own businesses. The point is to put them all together because there is no one person that has all the right answers. There is no one person that can do it all on their own. Right? Take the time, like Blue said, to teach yourself, then teach your children. Take the time to speak to your brother, speak to your sister, and show love to each other. Because until we start doing stuff like that, then we're going to keep looking at each other through the same lens as our enemies look at us through. And then we wonder why we are sick and why we have the kind of society that we have. Right? A culture is something that is supposed to protect you. A culture is something that's supposed to feed you and to keep your enemies away. Don't let somebody else dictate your culture. Don't let somebody else dictate your life. And never be ashamed. Always be unapologetic. Never be ashamed about what you say, what you feel. Because nobody else is going to be unapologetic. Nobody else is going to be apologetic with you. So don't apologize for wanting the best for yourself, for wanting the best for your children. And anybody who tells you otherwise, they are a poison. They are the problem. They are the issue. At the end of the day, we are all we got, right? And anger is a valuable emotion, not to be controlled by it, but to use it. A lot of things can change when you use your anger in the right way. Not turn it inward, but use your logic. Don't become emotional. Use your emotions. That is the thing that makes you powerful. That is something that a psychopath only understands mentally. Your humanity is what separates you. Your empathy. Don't get lost trying to fit into somebody else's society because we come from abundance and it's time for us to return to abundance. But it's all about what you say to yourself, the thoughts that you have about yourself, your self-confidence, your self-love, and the love that you have for each other, and your situation will change overnight. But yeah, I appreciate all of y'all for listening, man. Much love. Bakari say doing a live tomorrow, but I'm gonna try to get back on it to do 2 or 3 shows a week. So, I'm back on it, and we're gonna plan something out. Hopefully, Blue will come back on the next time and co-host with me. But as always, man, we have got to start standing for something, or we're gonna keep falling for anything.